All right, that was Kicking Giant here on KMUZ, filling in for Punk Rock with Dropkick on a Wednesday night, where we're talking to some friends and some musicians and whatnot that we are fond of. We just spoke with Semicolon and Caps Locks of Root Directory, and they talked about their recent tour and their upcoming 7-inch, which is almost available. And now, without further ado, we have on the phone with us, you know them, you love them, they're from Portland, Oregon. We have Xiphoid Process, Chris and Joe. How's it going?
Hello. Hi.
Hey, right on. And we played a bit of your music on one of the previous shows, and you guys are also local, so it's always nice to have bands that are doing something themselves. Do you want to give a little bit of the history of, Xiphoid Process isn't that old, only a couple years, right?
Yeah, I'll let Chris field this one. Yeah, Xiphoid Process came together. Me and Joe have been friends for, I guess, about 3 years now, and I went out and saw his previous band, sort of ongoing band, Trash Key Kids, and absolutely fell in love, And my previous band, Rebel Scum, was kind of falling apart. We were supposed to play a show with the Trash Key Kids, but Rebel Scum kind of dissolved at the very last minute.
And I think I was supposed to come and record that show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, probably, but so as like a very drunken late night conversation, I was pretty pissed off. I was pretty angry about my band falling apart. And Joe was just sort of like, well, why don't we start a band? And we kind of pieced it together bit by bit from there. But that was about 2 years ago. And that was kind of the beginning of Xiphoid Process. It's basically that simple. We were drunk in a basement and said, let's start a band, which is like every 15-year-old who started a band ever. Yeah.
And in some cases, 25-year-olds or 35-year-olds or 45-year-olds, depending.
Pushing 30.
Nice. Yeah, so I guess I should probably give a bit of a disclaimer because I have actually helped with some of the recording of your guys' tracks, but you guys have a couple releases out right now. The Plus 14 tape, which was the kind of first few songs that you wrote. Do you have anything to say about that?
It was interesting. That was kind of we set a marker as a sort of like the first couple songs that we wrote were very, very different from the stuff that we've been working on for the last year or so. And then the new tape with Root Directory, Joe, you can talk about how that's very different. Yeah, it's a lot different. I mean, when we started this, we were a 3-piece with no other guitar player, bass player, and I was playing in a much different band. So the earlier stuff we wrote was like me trying to figure out how to not play the same punk I was playing. So the guitar player, Brandon in the band, he started adding some twinkle because my guitar just makes a lot of noise. So we've kind of just evolved what we're writing. The new stuff's it's still the same band. It's just slightly more evolved and I think more thought out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's definitely like, Brandon does add that twinkle, but I think we were talking about this last time we were together. If you drop you from the mix, it's noticeable as well. Like your noisy guitar is as much a part of the sound as his twinkly pretty guitar.
Yeah, that's the one unfortunate thing live is that we don't get that since I just play bass live. But, I think that if you're expecting to see a band and have them sound exactly like the recording, and you're going live, that's not going to happen because it's not in the studio.
Well, and to be more pointed, the recordings are also done on a shoestring. Like, I was impressed with how much we were able to put together that quickly and with like almost free equipment.
It's pretty hilarious. Just about everything is duct taped together, and our isolation booth could probably pass as like a 12-year-old like living room tent. It's this madness, but what we've been able to kind of pull together and the sound quality we've been able to get in our practice studio has been pretty cool to kind of see exactly what is possible on zero budget. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I have been recording so long that I just a long time ago bought some like halfway decent mics, and with that and everything else we've been kind of able to piece together, we have enough gear to record a way that we can and make it sound good on nothing. I think our budget for the split we did with Root Directory was probably like
a bottle of whiskey, some joints, and like some pizza.
Yeah, it came together pretty quickly. And actually, this is a good segue because you guys have transitioned into releasing tapes, not just your own. They Them Records not only has put out the Xiphoid Process and then the split with Root Directory, but you have a couple others that are in the mix that are either out or almost out, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just a drunken idea between me and Joe about with how well everything went with recording the Xiphoid Process stuff, we thought that we would try to help out other bands. It's really expensive to put stuff out professionally, whether it's via like CDs or vinyl. And when we kind of discovered how easy it was, we kind of felt like we were cheating when we put out that first tape because it was like less than $200 to put out like an actual physical release. But yeah, with They Them, there's been a lot of interest. We've talked to a couple of bands. The main ones that we're working with right now are our friends in Corporate Business Success and Worms.
Oh yes,
and those are both coming together. Those are all both almost done. We've actually been here for about 6 hours slaving away on the Worms tape. So
nice. Yeah, I want to hear that when it's done.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. Yeah, and I mean, like, how I met Chris was the same kind of thing. Like, I was just like, oh, let's record your band. And so, like, I know a lot about cassettes, and so it only made sense for us to start releasing stuff for other people. And like Chris said, we've got the Worms tape coming out tomorrow. I think they're going to release it. Mm-hmm. And the Corporate Business Success one should be out by the end of August, probably mid-August. So yeah, that's been a new thing for us is trying to figure out how a record label works.
Well, this is the first start, man. We're playing your stuff for new audiences here in the Mid Valley. So yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, we want to play some shows in Salem. We need to get some sort of vehicle so we can go out of town. We want to play we want to play everywhere.
Yeah, we at least got to do down to Eugene and back.
Mm-hmm. We are on a very small budget, and none of us have cars.
Yeah. Well, we're getting already, man, it's already so late in the hour. I wanted to ask one more thing, though, because one of the things that stands out is that you guys play with gender identity. I mean, They Them Records, obviously, is kind of speaks to that. But I know Chris, you will perform on stage in a dress, as many of us have, like myself. And it's definitely something that's a little difficult in punk rock at times. Sometimes you get that old-fashioned mentality of it still has to be straight-laced, and it's nice to see bands that are kind of breaking out of that mold and doing something else.
For sure. I mean, like, I kind of think there's a great quote from the singer of TSOL who used to play shows a couple decades ago, when things were a lot rougher, and he would play in a dress.
Yeah.
And he would just, like, when people would come up to him and try to make fun of him, he would just fight them, or and he would always win the fight. Like, he was just prepared. He was there. He was ready. I don't like fighting people, but I kind of like that mentality of just kind of like going out there and not really caring what people think of you. That's what got me into punk rock in the very beginning. Was I'm going to wear what I want. I'm going to act how I want. I'm going to listen to the music that I want to listen to. And if people don't like it, I already know that people aren't going to like it, so I'm just going to kind of embrace it and draw power from it. And I think that, cross-dressing or gender bending or whatever you want to call it is kind of a new frontier. Not a new frontier, it's been done for ages, but right now it's still something that's a little bit touchy. So it's nice to kind of see like a mixed reaction from people. And I'm basically just trying to get people to think and trying to like normalize the idea of
normalize. That was kind of what I was thinking, was that I like it when it's, not considered like the oddity, but it's just kind of another part of the scenery.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not a shtick. I please don't take it as a gimmick. Right. I wear that kind of stuff to work and at home and when I'm doing the dishes. So
right.
It's much like trying to normalize the idea.
And I mean, it's a very normal thing for us. It was just, Chris is wearing dresses at shows now. All right. Mm-hmm. I think the thing is, too, that living in 2016, which is an insane thing to say, the last thing anybody needs to worry about is someone's gender identity.
Right.
I mean, there's much more important things to focus on, and focusing on having to call someone they and being upset about it is the last thing that actually matters. Like, there's so many more things to worry you about than, just using correct pronouns and being nice to people.
Yeah, we have a big election coming. Please put these issues aside.
Yeah, for sure. It's really not a big deal.
Well, thank you so much for calling and being a supporter of what we do and sending us the music as well, because we get to play this stuff. So I have with me the flagship, the cassette version, actually.
Awesome.
The digital one online is missing a few of the things that make this version fun. So anything to say about flagship and the Plus 14 tape and anything else before we go?
It's really cool to be on the radio. It's something I've never done before in any way, shape, or form. It's totally rad. And to people in Salem, if there are people listening, we want to play shows with your punk band and we want to make friends.
Yeah, check us out on Bandcamp. We're on there. We're on Facebook. Like you said, we've got two tapes out right now. The Root Dirt Split's a limited pressing. And then we've got our Plus 14. And I think Flagship is the second or third song we wrote, but I still think it stands up to how we sound now.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent. Well, thank you so much for calling, guys, and have an excellent evening.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
See you later.
Yeah, no problem. And without further ado, let's hear some Flagship here on Punk Rock with the Grumpy Punk, Austin Rich, filling in for Karen.
It looked like a tough battle ahead, with the issue very much in doubt. It was a tough battle,